Terror in the holy month of Ramadan. In Afghanistan, a massive truck bomb ripped through the heart of Kabul's diplomatic district, killing almost 100 and injuring 400. This explosion is being described as one of the biggest to have hit the Afghan capital. While no one has claimed responsibility for the attack, the Islamic State is calling for more attacks during the holiday. Meantime, in the UK, the massive operation to dismantle the suicide bomber Salman Abedi's network is underway. This is a major task for counter-terror authorities that are grappling with some 500 investigations into 3,000 people. Joining me now, the founder of the American Truth Project, Barry Nussbaum. Barry, there is so much going on. I can't even imagine, the task before the authorities in the UK. I mean, there's just so much to follow, but there have been several arrests made.
Right. Stephanie, it's an overwhelming task. They are trying to do a lot at the very last minute after doing virtually nothing for too long. There's 23,000 suspects that they have on lists that could be radicalized out of a Muslim population of 2.8 million. And if you can imagine how much damage one or two people can do, it's a terrifying task and one that they're way behind the eight ball on, trying to get caught up after this kind of terrorism has taken place.
Well, it is a terrifying task, and especially in that type of culture where if you see something, you can say something as long as they're not Muslim. Now, the
Right.
UK came up with an anti-terror strategy, but it's already being criticized by the UN. So, I mean, what can they do? I mean, obviously, they've gotten to this point where they've allowed for this to happen, and we've heard some politicians and even celebrities just say, oh, well, we're just going to have to live with this. That's just life in a city.
What's really scary that exemplifies the tragedy of what you just mentioned, Stephanie, the mayor of London is Muslim, and he calls this the new normal, and that people should just get used to terror in the cities. It's normal for him from the culture he comes from. And what is really scary is the Brits aren't rising up against him to throw him out of office. Civil society in Britain demands that nobody, especially anyone connected to potential radical clerics, is singled out and investigated. So they're not even going into the mosques where the hatred is being preached. It's insane.
Yeah, and it's absurd for them to say that this is the new normal. People shouldn't have to accept this. Now, there's a new video going viral, and it's titled Bomb Violence with Mercy. We have it. Roll tape.
I will tell God everything, that you filled the cemeteries with our children and emptied our school desks, that you've sparked unrest and turned our streets to darkness, and that you've lied. God has full knowledge of all the secrets of all hearts. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. You, who comes in the name of death, He is the creator of life. I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God, the forgiving and forbearing, who hurts not those who hurt him. God is greater.
A rather positive message, I suppose, and this was released on Ramadan. But do you really think this is going to change the heart of a terrorist who is, he or she is sitting in her home planning the next attack?
It's really a subtle message, Stephanie, and you're right. It's sort of preaching in a very subtle way, be peaceful, don't be a terrorist. And shockingly, in the Middle East, it's not getting universal acclaim and support. There is actually a debate going on throughout the Middle Eastern capitals during Ramadan whether or not this is appropriate. In other words, it doesn't show the true side of the terrorists, and maybe it doesn't explain both sides completely. What is civilization when you can't even get people to say, please don't mass murder our children, and you don't get universal approval? That's pathetic.
And obviously, the timing of this video is important, and you have to wonder, why are there so many attacks on the so-called holy month of Ramadan? Like, I just don't understand why.
It's simple. Go to the Quran. It's there. There are numerous writings attributed to Muhammad that say attacks during Ramadan are the best time to do these things, because if you die in an attack defending the faith, you get double the reward in heaven. And so ISIS and similar terror groups like Al Qaeda or Al Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula and so on promote Ramadan attacks to their martyrs in training, saying they're going to get double their reward in paradise by killing the people that are their enemies.
Yeah, it's frightening. And, you mentioned the Islamic State, and we know that the Philippines, they're dealing with Islamic State fighters, well, terrorists right now, and they captured several Christians and murdered them. And you have to wonder, first of all, what are these Islamic State terrorists doing there? And how exactly, what's the plan to wipe these cockroaches out of there?
Well, in the Philippines, 200,000 people have fled a largely Christian city because they're afraid of being murdered by Islamic State murder thugs. In this case, they took a bunch of kids and adults off a bus, tied them up, and shot them all. A policeman happened on the scene and he was beheaded. Duarte, the dictator of the Philippines, has declared martial law, and they've got special forces going in. He, on the other hand, is not British. So his response is to find them, capture them, and kill all of them, eradicate the Islamic State. That is his mission.